Hello, Cherries fans, and welcome to this latest opposition preview show here on Up the Cherries in all departments. A little bit of a preview with a difference today. It is a beautiful Thursday here in Paris, of all places. So I'm here at an event. I will be back for the game, so we'll be back tomorrow. But yeah, beautiful Thursday here. So good afternoon to everybody. Um, Let's get stuck into it. Of course, Wolves, a team who, of course, are managed by our former manager, Gary O'Neill. He's done a very, very good job there so far. They are quite clear of the relegation zone, beat Manchester City, beat Aston Villa. There was a little bit of concern about him early on at Wolverhampton Wanderers, and a couple of the Wolves fans weren't very impressed. Um, but he's turned that round, and he's turned that round in the same grit and style that he showed at AFC Bournemouth. Whereas we are still winless. There's lots of question marks over Andoni Iriola, and if he loses this game, is Andoni Iriola's position at AFC Bournemouth tenable or not? Really do leave your comments in the bottom there as well. Let's get to Dave and see what he thinks ahead of this game, and so he can give us a little bit more on Gary and Wolves' form so far this
Hi
season.
Craig, hi everyone. This is Dave from Talking Wolves, giving my thoughts ahead of the game at Bournemouth on Saturday. Bournemouth versus Wolves. It's going to be a really interesting game, and I'm sure exciting game for Wolves fans. And I'm sure some Bournemouth fans will be excited ahead of this game, but also quite nervous with the return of Mr. Gary O'Neill. Look, I think it was a brave decision when you guys let go of him. I think the manager that you brought in has obviously got a lot of quality and pedigree. Whether it's just too soon for him in regards to the playing squad not being what he sort of needs, or you do see some managers come to England and it just doesn't work for them. So it will be very interesting. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not keeping very, very close tabs on what's going on at Bournemouth. I don't know sort of how long he's got left. If he gets another negative result this weekend. But yeah, life under Gary O'Neill for Wolves has been interesting. Of course, an absolute whirlwind of a summer for Wolves. Try and give you a very quick summary in the fact that towards the end of last season, Wolves had sort of warned Lopetegui that funds won't be, you know, easy to come by. Wolves will have to work and sell players, and Lopetegui wasn't happy about that. Sort of took him a while to commit his future to Wolves. Eventually, he did. And then one reason or another, things just didn't go the way he wanted throughout pre-season, although Wolves were picking up positive results. And then told our sort of sporting director just a couple of weeks before the season, look, I want to leave the club. So he gave us about a week or so to get a manager in. And of course, that manager was then Mr. Gary O'Neill. And I think he was officially appointed about 5 or 6 days before the start of the Premier League season. And look, no disrespect to Gary O'Neill. I think if you asked any Wolves fan if Lopetegui were to go, who would you get in? I don't think anybody would have said Gary O'Neill. So straight away, that added a lot of pressure onto the manager. And look, he's still very young. He's inexperienced. I think you have to give him credit because he did a great job with you guys when Scott Parker went after a couple of those big defeats. I think a lot of people would have looked at Bournemouth and probably put good money on him to go down. So I think he did quite a good job at getting the morale up and keeping you guys up, albeit the results towards the end of his tenure probably and performances weren't what you guys would have wanted to see. But yeah, he's come in and it's been a mixed start for Gary O'Neill. I think, his first ever game in charge of the club was away at Manchester United, and he did a phenomenal job. I think Wolves, although we lost the game, probably one of our better performances this season. So frustrating in front of goal, denied a Stonewall penalty towards the end. But of course, if you don't get the look and you don't take your chances at Old Trafford, you're going to come away with nothing, and that's what happened. Took us a little while to get going. Obviously, we've got the win at Everton, a late winner, which wasn't a classic, a really poor game of football overall, but, grinded out a result. And, he's picked up some decent results. Beating Manchester City at home, a draw against Villa most recently as well. There have been some moments where I think Bournemouth fans warned us where Gary O'Neill almost doesn't know how to approach or possibly see out a game. We saw it. Liverpool, we were 1-0 up at half time and ended up losing that 3-1. Luton, we just didn't get going away at all. We ended up drawing that game 1-1, albeit with 10 men. And Ipswich was the big one. We were 2-0 up against Ipswich in the Cup. And of course, they've been brilliant so far this season, but we ended up losing 3-2. So there are, and I think you're going to get that. He's an inexperienced manager. And he's still learning how to see out games, how to approach games. But I think he's a very good coach, and the club and Matt Hobbs, who's the sporting director at the club, obviously has a lot of faith in him. And they're going to be looking to make moves before the January transfer window to help support Gary O'Neill and his plans at the club. I think I can praise his former's tactical flexibility because he played with a four at the back, and we had mixed success. He saw the threat of Manchester City, switched to a back five, and that's probably, if you watch that City game from minute 1 to minute 90, you could put that down to almost the perfect performance against Manchester City. And I've got to give Gary O'Neill credit for that, because that was the fixture after that Ipswich game as well. So he reacted fantastically well. And now he's starting to build a really decent backroom staff as well at the club. So, yeah, it's been a mixed start, but things are looking a lot better for Gary O'Neill now. And I think some Bournemouth fans will be very, very frustrated if he does get the better of you guys on Saturday. Now, I think one of the things that Wolves have really improved on is actually putting the ball into the back of the net. We've really struggled with that over the last 3 years under Nuno, under Bruno Lage, and even at times under Julian Lopetegui as well. So Gary O'Neill has all of a sudden got the front guys a lot of confidence and starting to put the ball in the back of the net. In particular, Hwang Hee-chan, who's already got 6 goals this season. Our top goal scorer last season was Ruben Neves with 6 goals. Pedro Neto starting to get the assists. He scored a goal. I think he's got 4 or 5 assists already. So the creativity is a hell of a lot better from Wolves. Got to tighten up a little bit more defensively, but I think we'll see that if we are sticking with the back five. And of course, we'll have to see if switching to the back five affects how our goal scoring as well. However, saying that, although we've played the back five against City and Villa, it'd be very interesting to see if Gary O'Neill does switch to a back four ahead of this game on Saturday. But there's confidence in the Wolves camp at the moment, and there's not confidence in the Bournemouth camp. Part of me is worried about that because you've had an international break. Is that going to kill Wolves' momentum? Is that going to give Bournemouth a chance to almost, get new ideas into their head? I think, you're almost going into the unknown in this game. But Bournemouth have always given us, at times, some tricky games. It's been a mixed bag of results between the two teams. Wolves seem to have just about edged it, but we haven't had great form at the Vitality. So, it's going to be a tough game for Wolves. I would back us to edge it. I think both teams will score, but I'll back Wolves to win it 2-1. But yeah, I'm sorry guys, but I'm hoping Gary O'Neill gets his revenge and he's the one smiling at the end of the game. But I appreciate you guys having me on. Of course, it's always great to chat to Craig. I know he's away at the moment, so unfortunately I can't catch up with him. But yeah, appreciate you having me on. We're at Talking Wolves everywhere. If you want to catch my thoughts ahead of the game or even after the game, depending on the result, you can check us out at Talking Wolves over on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. But until next time, and apart from this fixture and the reverse fixture, best of luck for the rest of the season, guys, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
And there we are. That is Dave's thoughts. Please, like I say, pop all the details and the comments in the bottom of the page as well on YouTube. Do check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever. Thank you again for everybody for listening. Sorry, it's not a bigger opposition preview show. I better get back to it here. Beautiful weather, maybe even see the Eiffel Tower. You never know. Never know. But from me, up the cherries, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining us.